What we're going to do today is put together a video about doing a still life with simple everyday objects right in your own home. We're all shut in these crazy days, and I'm going to take you through the steps that I've used in my whole photography career, 65 years, to put together a still life that almost can be framed and hung on the wall. The everyday objects I'm going to use are 3 wine glasses and a simple background, just a piece of white foam core on a table pushed up against a white wall. The way I've worked my whole photography career is to pre-visualize the image. That means before I even pick up the camera, I'm already thinking about what the image is going to look like in the finished print. And pre-visualization is something I did years ago when I was in high school, when my friend set up a blind date for me, and I would pre-visualize like crazy, but it didn't work out all the time the way I hoped. But with photography, pre-visualization, my method means that I imagine what the finished photograph is going to look like. And then, once I have that image in my mind, I can build it. I can make the decisions about light, about arranging of the items in the picture, about the background, and of course all of those decisions are creative choices that I make. A little bit about me. I am Ed Giudice, and I've been a photographer since the 1960s. I've worked for magazines, for corporations, and for ad agencies, and I've just loved my work. I started out in New York City. The way I got work in those days was that I took the Long Island Railroad from Belmore, Long Island, where I lived, into Manhattan, into Penn Station, and there was a row of telephone booths. And I thought at that time that my lucky number was 4. So I would go to the 4th telephone booth and cold call advertising agencies, and many times I would luck out and they would say, "Sure, Ed, come on up and bring your work and let's take a look at it." Eventually I moved to Massachusetts and began working for a Disney magazine as one of my clients, Family Fun magazine. And I photographed children, hundreds and hundreds of children, over a 20-year period. At one point in the 70s, I took my portfolio to Polaroid Corporation in Boston, and they took me on as a user of the newly invented SX70 camera. And I worked with that camera and with Polaroid for many, many years. If you go to Vimeo, type in "the man who shot 12,000 Polaroids," and that would be me. And there's a little video about my producing an image that Dr. Land, the inventor and founder of Polaroid, wanted in every camera store in America. And that's a fun video to watch. Okay, one thing about the film of me doing the 12,000 Polaroids, I have uploaded it onto YouTube, so that's where you'll find it. Go to YouTube, "The Man Who Shot 12,000 Polaroids," and you can watch this incredible project that I worked on. Let's go to the still life itself, and I'll walk you through all the steps that I took to produce this finished print. And I hope you enjoy it, and let's get to work. So here are the three wine glasses set on the white foam core, and there are many ways these glasses can be arranged, and even though I pre-visualized the shot, it is useful to arrange them in different ways just to experiment, and maybe perhaps we can come up with a better idea. One thing about my photography is that I like to shoot full frame, so when I frame a picture, I see that as the finish. One thing that is important is in my finished print, I see the front glass in sharp focus and the two other glasses dropping out of focus, so a small depth of focus. The way that has to be achieved can be done two ways. One, by shooting with a wide aperture, and the other by using a long focal length lens, which is the way that I shot the picture. I actually used a 300 millimeter lens on my Nikon to create a very shallow depth of focus. And other little issues that I thought about was whether I wanted a dark liquid or a light liquid in the wine glasses. So I choose to use white wine instead of red wine. Notice how the two glasses are just touching edge to edge. That's kind of a no-no. You want to separate the glasses or overlap them, just as another point of composition. Here's another example of the edges of the two glasses just touching each other. So again, either separate them completely or overlap them to form a more pleasing visual. When you're looking through the viewfinder of the camera, look around the edges of the picture, and here we see two areas that should be tightened up a little bit to eliminate them. Of course, we don't want to see those elements in the finished still life. When the three glasses were arranged to my liking, the horizon looked good, the light looked good, the wine looked good. I carefully focused on the front glass, and using that very long lens was able to create a shallow depth of focus, moving the other two glasses out of focus, made the exposure, and then brought the image into Photoshop, where I cut down on the exposure and darkened the print to create more of a mood. And there we are, the finished three glasses against a white wall, shot at home with a digital camera. Okay, here comes the confession. What you're looking at now is a framed photograph of three wine glasses against a white background, and it's different. It's somewhat different in composition than the one we just created. Notice the three glasses are a little bit to the right, lower left of the picture, which, well, here's what happened. I put a roll of Tri-X film in my old Contax camera, set up the wine glasses, poured some wine in, bingo, bingo, and made the exposure to f2 with a 50 millimeter lens to create the shallow depth of field. Made a print. Well, first I had to develop the Tri-X film, scanned it and made a print, matted it and framed it, and it's hanging on my wall. This is my favorite picture because of the Tri-X grain and the look of it.